Nutrition is really important for health, especially for developing children. Today, we're delving into that topic. I'm Hilary, welcome to Mat Time. Today I'm sitting here with Hadley, who is a nutritional health coach. Welcome Hadley, would you like some tea? Would you like to start by telling us a bit about your background and how you got to be where you are today?
Yeah, well, I'm a nutritional health coach, and I just went through my studies with the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York. I think the whole journey started about 8 years ago when my son was quite unwell, and we were looking for answers. He had some of the chronic diseases a lot of children have today. He had asthma and allergies. He had eczema. He had chronic constipation. He was missing weeks of school because of these illnesses, and every time he was sick, we'd go to the GP. And the only thing we were receiving was medication to suppress the symptoms. And I'm sort of one of those science nerd type people, and I just wanted to know what could be causing the symptoms. And I was so surprised that the doctors didn't really know what was causing the symptoms. We found this really wonderful naturopath, and she introduced me to the concept of the gut and brain connection. And that just switched on so many light bulbs for me. All the science and all the research was behind it. It wasn't such an alternative treatment, but it was really grounded in science. And I wondered why the mainstream doctors we were seeing didn't know about it. And then when I realized that most doctors don't receive any training in nutrition, I realized that it's not part of their world. So I went to see a specialist pediatrician for my son, who was able to really bring the allopathic medicine combined with the biomedical medicine together. We did discover that he was really a very unwell little boy, and that through diet, nutrition, and nutrients, we were able to return him to health. And that sort of launched my whole family into a really, we thought we were healthy people and ate a healthy diet. And then through this process, we realized that we all had these health niggles. I had some pretty serious digestive issues that I thought were just who I was and part of my life. I'd had them for so long. And when I started to think about my family history, my family had these digestive issues that I had, and the pieces all started to come together. My passion for nutrition had always sort of been there, but I just didn't really know how I could turn it into work that I love to do. And training to be a health coach was really this amazing experience. I'm now able to help people one-on-one find the root cause of their illness and steer them towards practitioners who are able to do the testing. And yeah, it's very rewarding.
There's a lot of books and information online. What are some of the resources you'd point people to if they were wondering about this?
This book, Nourishing Traditions, is really a international sensation. This is a woman named Sally Fallon who has just compiled this massive book that challenges everything that is a common nutritional bit of information that we would know. And sort of she's works with the Weston Price Foundation, which is another thing that people can Google to find out information on a healthy diet. It's taking you back to the kind of diet that our grandparents had, which was really free from any additives or chemicals. Everything is just what we call farm to table now, which our grandparents just called food. So it's really just whole foods. And then one person's food is another person's poison. And children especially, you might see behavioral issues in your child, and they might be age and stage appropriate, but there might be a little niggle you have about, I'm not quite sure, that does seem like terrible twos behavior, but it's pretty extreme. And those issues are very difficult to troubleshoot, but one thing you can do is have a look at their diet. And a lot of parents see a real connection between behavioral issues and colors and additives that are in foods. And those ingredients are so hidden in our food supply that even healthy eaters and parents that really feel like their diet is sorted really would be surprised to find these chemicals are lurking in so many things. So peeling back the family diet to be one of really just whole foods is one of the best things a family can do.
What are tips for teachers around nutrition? There's a lot of things we could go into about kind of the core nutritional principles here.
Yeah, I mean, creating an environment in a setting in school that really celebrates real food is a great place to start. So, that can often come from the teachers talking a lot, reading a lot of books about farms and growing food and where does our food come from? You'd be surprised that, we all assume children know all these things about our food. And if you ask a child where food comes from, even that can be a fun thing to do in a classroom because you'll get so many different answers and find out where your children are coming from in your classroom. So, a lot of children think that food comes from the supermarket and somehow it magically just gets there. Yeah. So to just say, well, where does it come from before there? And that all of our food basically can be tracked right back to a farm, hopefully a local farm. And just to have those conversations, to celebrate the colors of food is another great thing. So, talking about eating the rainbow. Plant foods are the healthiest thing that we can put into our bodies. And so that's one of the things that children often struggle with is getting enough vegetables. Yeah. Fruits aren't such a problem, but vegetables can be. Creating a culture in your school of celebrating those amazing colors and foods gets kids really excited about, wow, that pumpkin is really orange. Yeah. And that, grape is purple, and isn't that amazing? And to really bring food into the conversation. Also, having a garden at school, growing some vegetables, it doesn't have to be fancy. It could be even just sprouting some little seedlings that grow in the classroom. It's a miracle for children to watch a seed transform into a plant that they can eat. And they might not see that at home. They might not see that in their life. It can really switch something on in them that is, incredible to watch. But also, if you're able to do something with that food that you've grown and then participate as a community and eat that food together, that is incredibly powerful. Even you could do a day where you bring the families in and you all have a shared lunch with the food that you grew, taking that information of how to grow food and bringing it to your community of parents.
What can educators do if they're particularly worried about a child's nutrition?
That's a great question. I feel like it's a really good touch point that teachers have this opportunity to have a discussion with parents, and sometimes that can be a hard discussion to have because as a teacher, you might feel a bit preachy or sensitive about talking. None of us are perfect eaters, so we all feel a little bit like, well, who am I to say you aren't doing this properly? But I think that teachers have a special role in not only the lives of children, but the lives of families. And if they see something that they feel like bringing up, just to have a gentle conversation coming from a place of non-judgment is a really good place to start. Maybe saying that, you've noticed that the child is having a lot of food in packets and wondering if there's a reason for that, and that, possibly even hosting an evening with a practitioner that people like me, a health coach, would love to come to a school and give a talk to parents about, healthy lunch boxes, making it easy, making it affordable.
Educating families.
Yeah, educating families. And maybe the teacher's handing that over to a professional for a fundraising evening or something is a good idea if the teachers don't feel comfortable doing it themselves.
What about tips for families, sort of basic nutritional tips? What would you talk to parents about if they had come and you were doing a presentation at a kindergarten?
Yeah. Essentially, what I love about it is it really is quite easy. It's really just kind of rethinking where our food comes from and eating seasonally and eating locally. And so the more whole your food is, the better it is for you. So the more chopped up or processed or in a box it is, the less valuable it is nutritionally to our bodies. And those packeted foods tend to cost more in the long run, especially than whole foods do. At the moment, you could buy a whole pumpkin for, I think, about $3. And that pumpkin can make soup that could last several days for lunches. It's really just about sort of having access to the idea that food in its natural state doesn't need to be complicated or difficult. but really just having conversations around the dinner table about getting excited about mostly fruits and vegetables, and really as a family talking about how good food is for us. I think sometimes we talk about what's bad for us and that, oh yeah, eat your vegetables because they're good for you, but what are they doing for us? And so talking about how can you guess on your plate which vegetable would be good for your eyes? And especially when children are young, that's really, children are so open to learning about what's good for them, and you know, the food that the bunny rabbit eats is good for the bunny rabbit and good for me. Surprisingly, going back and thinking, boy, what was it like to be a little child and how little they know about food and nutrition, and starting at that really simple place and just having conversations. And children, surprisingly, they push back at first, but after a while they start going around talking about how healthy they are and how healthy they eat. So it's really, I just encourage people to just do it, to make the changes and not worry so much about disappointing the family by not having chippies in their lunch, and just saying that's what we're doing now.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Hadley. I feel like there's so much that all people can learn from your story. And thank you for watching Mat Time. We've put together some resources about the things we talked about today, about nutrition. So check out the description below for those.
Also, my blog, theremedyproject.co.nz, I'm going into more depth on our discussion, and there'll be lots of helpful links and more information. On that list, you'll also find this ebook from my friend who did a cookbook for raising babies and kids with delicious whole food, easy recipes. And you could just sign up and get that free in your inbox.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.